Chapter 5, Part 3, writing an application that uses an event class. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to create a class whose name is Create Event Object, and this program is going to interface with the events class that was just created in the previous part of the UDoIT section. Again, we're just going to kind of discuss what we've got here. Again, we're going to have to use the scanner, so we're going to import in information. A couple of variables have been declared. You've got the event type, the chosen manager, and the double, and you will notice that the string and the double have all been initialized. Chosen manager has been set to blank. The chosen rate has been set to 0. Created an event object that will allow us to tie create event object to the events program. Every time we're going to reference this, we're going to have to reference it by the name of scheduled event. Next has been created several constants. We've got a private code, a corporate code, and a nonprofit. All of those have been initialized to 1s, 2s, and 3s. We've also got our managers. In addition to that, we have now got a rate set for each one of those different types of events, private events, corporate events, nonprofit events. We've also got a switch here, a boolean, or boolean, depending on how you want to pronounce it, which choice is good, and that has been set to true. That's something that's really important. We will be using it here in just a few minutes. I'll show you where it's relevant, but what it's doing is it's trying to figure out, do we print something valid or do we print an error? Okay, because remember, in the Choose Manager program, I stated that one of the biggest problems, you only had 2 managers, but there was no real way to handle, well, what if you didn't have an appropriate choice entered? How it always defaulted down to Cameron. Well, this program actually handles that. You have to enter in a 1, 2, or 3, and that's it. If you enter in anything else, it will give you an error. And the error is being handled by this choice is good. All right, the next step here in the program is we're initiating the scanner, creating it, naming it input. Next, the user is being prompted for what type of event. Now, this is very similar to Choose Manager, but we've got the nonprofit information added. We're going to collect that information here in event type. Then we're going to do not as simple of a decision here as we did in Choose Manager because we've added some different elements to it. Now remember, whenever you start going in and adding multiple elements to a decision structure, it's probably best to go in and create a switch statement, which is what we're going to do in the next section of the UDoIT. But right now we're just going to do a bunch of clusterings of ifs. So we're going to nest our ifs in here. So we're going to check to see if our event type is a 1, a 2, or a 3, or something else. If it is private, then we're going to pick the private manager and the private rate. Else if the code is 2, then we're going to choose all the corporate information. Else if it is 3, we choose all the nonprofit information. Now, all we're doing at this particular point is just setting those values. We're saying, okay, the chosen manager is going to be whatever the appropriate selection is going to be. The chosen rate is going to be whatever the appropriate selection should be. And we're just doing that no matter if it's a 1 or a 2 or a 3. Now, if it is not a 1, 2, or 3, it's something else. You've entered in a 5. The only thing that's going to happen here, chosen manager and chosen rate are not going to be set, but this flag is going to be set to false. Because as you remember, when we first went in and initialized and declared choice is good, we set it to true. If we did not enter in a 1, a 2, or 3, we now set choice is good to false. Now, why is that important? It's important because of the remaining portion of this program. We are going to build another decision structure based on, is choice good? So if choice is good, and remember, we always test the true condition. So basically what this is saying here is if choice is good equals true, then we are going to take a trip across, because remember that's what schedule event is. We're going to event. We're going to set type, and we're going to take with us event type. Now, event type is what you've entered in when you got prompted. Please enter in what type of event you got. Private, corporate, or nonprofit. Give me a 1, 2, or 3. It's going to take a trip across to event. It's going to find set manager, and it's going to take with you whatever your manager is. Remember up here in these decisions, we handle that. So it's either going to be the corporate manager, the private manager, or the nonprofit. And then we're going to also do the same thing there for the rate. However, if choice is false, then it's simply going to come down and tell you, okay, what you've picked here is wrong. You entered in, let's say, a 5, which is invalid. Okay. Now, that is all that's part of that if else. Okay. So we've actually got 2 more lines here of output. So we're going to get scheduled event, the type. We're going to go over to event, get the type. The manager is, go to event, get the manager. The rate is, go to event, get the rate per hour. So you're linking between the two, okay? Here you will see the event program. And so we do have, like, for example, here, get type. See how the methods match? Get manager. Here's get manager. And then you've also got the get rate. Those values were set when we came across here and did this code here. That's where those items were set. Because we told it to go to event, go find a method whose name is set type, which is here, and we set the type. So this program's a little bit better than Choose Manager because it does handle the errors. What if I don't enter in a 1, 2, or 3? Okay, so we've already compiled event. So we need to come in and compile this program, create event object, and then we need to run it. You will notice down here it tells me what type of event are you scheduling. I have to enter in a 1 for private, 2 for corporate, or 3 for nonprofit. I'm going to enter in a 1 and press enter. And then it gives me the scheduled event is type 1. Dustin Britt is the manager, and the rate is $47.99. Again, you need to test all the different scenarios. So I'm going to test it using a 2. I'm going to rerun it, test it using a 3. Okay, it worked fine for private, nonprofit, and corporate. Let's run it one more time, though, and see what happens if I enter in a 6, because now 6 is not a valid option, right? So it comes up and it tells me you have entered in a 6, which is invalid. Scheduled event and your type of manager and all that are going to be null and void. So how did I get this? You entered in a 6, which is invalid. It's because this particular point of the program, we told it that we didn't enter in a 1, 2, or 3. So the choice is good has been set to false. When it gets to this decision structure, if choice is good is false, then print out you have entered in the event type, which is 6, which is invalid. Because all of this information, the system.out.println, is outside of that decision structure, it's still going to print that information. It's still going to give you the scheduled event and the type manager information. That is the end of part 3.